So I saw this article come up, Guitar World. Matt Owen had written this article about what David Gilmour had said, which is basically, I can't describe what makes a guitar special. It's something that really resonates with me because it's a bit of a thing where you think like, I really like this guitar, I think, but is it a great guitar? Do I know why I like this guitar in particular? And I think the answer actually is what makes the guitar special, David, is you. This channel is supported by TrueFire. TrueFire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses. So essentially, this article was talking about a guitar that David Gilmour didn't want to sell. And surprisingly enough, when I think the black Strat, the black one, would have been the guitar that I'd have imagined that would have meant the most to David Gilmour. Obviously, it meant the most to David Gilmour fans and whoever ended up buying it. It's just an interesting one where you think, right, it was this Gretsch guitar, which, to me, I don't think of as like the David Gilmour guitar. That's the one that you can't bear to sell. Kind of interesting to me. I don't know if that's interesting to you guys at all. The things that you ended up talking about, what makes the guitar special, were mostly kind of pickups. It kind of talks about it has this kind of hi-fi quality, and I think he's used it a lot on the record. But this is the thing for me where it's kind of like I can get a guitar in my hands, and either in a lot of ways I like it or I don't, and it's a bit of a I don't necessarily know what it is about the guitar that I'm liking or not all the time. So I think one thing that's important to me, but not necessarily a deal breaker, is neck shape. So my K-line guitars have like a medium C. They're like a little bit thicker than what you might typically get on a modern style Stratocaster or Telly, which tend to have slightly slimmer C necks, or like D's necks. Yeah, something around having a slightly thicker but not too thick neck. So for me, I've tried a couple of Tellys which have like the no-caster style or the baseball style. That doesn't do anything for me, I've found out. So we're talking, that sort of midpoint between maybe like the Rev Star neck is another good kind of case in point, or like a 50s style Les Paul Standard, where it's not too slim, not too thick. But I do have that Telly that I made myself, the Twattercaster, that has a slim neck that I bought, and that guitar suits me just fine. I would never say that was a great guitar, but it's kind of great for me, if you get what I mean. Something that I put together. Pickups. Now, I'm not sure if pickups matter as much as pickup height. And so when people ask about like the pickup height on this guitar, which some people have, you might be able to see that it's quite low relative to many other guitars. This is not typically something that I would adjust. I kind of just take each guitar as it is. But probably what I should be doing is, if I have a particular preference, or this guitar has shown me what some of my preferences are, then just lower those pickups. Why would you lower pickups? Essentially, you get a little bit less bass, because you get that proximity effect going on, and it pulls on the strings less in terms of magnetism. It's not too hard to add in more gain if you're finding like a weak sounding pickup. To me, that's a better thing than an overpowering pickup in a lot of ways, particularly when you think about what the effect of having the string closer to the magnet can do. A guitar might sustain a bit more if the pickups are lower, that sort of thing. I guess another thing which makes a guitar not special, or affects my interest in it, would be if it's a super, super heavy guitar. That in particular, with Les Pauls, looking for something which is a little on the lighter side, I think can be quite an interesting exercise, and something that I personally have kind of taken to doing. So for instance, my buddy Jake, who has that Murphy Lab Les Paul, Jake Loosemore, that one is sort of like 8.5 pounds, and is a really great example. On the other hand, my own personal Les Paul was like 9.5 pounds over that, and I don't think quite as special. Of course, there's way bigger differences than just the weight, but looking for something which is possibly a little bit lighter in a Les Paul thing, in the pool of Les Pauls, I guess, can help narrow things down a little bit. I don't know whether you agree with that or not. I think there's some people that think a Les Paul has to be heavy. He ain't heavy, he's Les. The most important thing of all, I think, really, to be getting the best out of any one guitar, and this is something that I've kind of recently kind of had to bear in mind, really, is the setup. And, has this been sat in a warehouse for a long time and flown across the world and then arrived at my house from, whether it's like Tom Anderton's or somewhere like that. That can be a really hard thing to withstand for the guitar itself. If they show up in that situation and are really good, like the PRS DGT SE that I bought, then I think there's something a little bit special going on there, right? But also, it doesn't necessarily mean that the guitar isn't special, I guess, if it does arrive and it's not perfect. I think this is something that I spoke to my buddies at Rose Morris about, Mike, right? And also, I believe Peach Guitars do this, and maybe a few other smaller kind of retailers. I don't know in the US if you've got this sort of thing going on. I know like over here, Peach are quite, well, thought of as like a big store, but they're actually quite a small team. Those guys, according to the website, and according to my experience of all the guitars that I bought from there, actually open every box and check every piece of stock. So there's like that added kind of bit of customer experience going on there. Whereas, I bought earlier in last week, the Fender Player 2, which had, an actual kind of QC flaw that should have been caught really by someone, you'd have thought, except to say that once it gets to the UK, I don't think anyone has opened that box before me, the customer. If a skunk stripe is lifted enough to kind of flake off finish and stuff, like or sunk enough to do that, then that is a real QC flaw, you'd think. It doesn't necessarily mean that the guitar itself isn't good or couldn't be good, but it's also one of those things that it shouldn't be like it out of the box, I guess, probably. So yeah, what do you think makes a guitar special? For me, I think it's who is playing it, and whether that person kind of feels it's special is half of the magic. If someone suddenly tells you, that guitar that you play, I love that guitar. Like if someone has said that to you about a guitar of yours, that actually I think does help to build that kind of confidence in it, that it's not just you thinking that it's a decent guitar. You know, if someone else likes it as well, it kind of gives you that reassurance. I think a lot of it is about that, and not necessarily about that any one particular piece of wood and strings having magical qualities. I think it's about building a bond with a guitar, having it looked after, having it kind of set up, having it have a decent set of strings on it, and playing it enough to build that bond with it, and then possibly getting that kind of other people reassuring you that it works for them as well. Kind of, for me, is what lets me know when a guitar kind of is special. And I don't think it's that easy to tell just by yourself, just by picking up a guitar, especially in a guitar shop where you're not playing it through your own rig. I think that's another way to tell. Get home, for me, plug it into my normal kind of HX Stomp stuff, and that is a way to tell whether it's special. Another way, play it unplugged like that Collins guitar, or play it DI like Julia Lage was saying. That can really tell you, well, is this just another guitar, or is this something a little bit special? Those are just some ideas. Let me know yours in the comments. Cheers for stopping by. I was using the new Helix Native Vox tone that I put together, Glassy Vox 2024. If you want to check that out, jump into the Gumroad link, and I'll catch you in another video soon. Cheers.